Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum, welcome. Today we are going through another predicted paper. This one is by Hannah Kettle, as you can see, and you can download a copy from the description. This is just a kind of revision, it's something for revision purposes. It's practice. This is no way a guarantee that this will come up. It's just looking at frequent topics that are appearing and just using that as a guide to kind of see what we can do. So this is just a guesstimate, if you like. We are going to see how many marks we can get from this. It's going to be a short session today. Now, last year's exam paper, these are the grade boundaries for total marks, and then per paper you just have to divide these to get the marks. So that's what we're aiming towards. Getting a grade 4 is 16 marks, 27 and 38. It will be a short session today because you've got English exams tomorrow. So I did say I will do an exam paper every day, so that's why I am starting with this. So I'll give you a few seconds. Look at question 1, have a go. Press pause if you need more time. Right, so question 1, work out 4.08 times 3.7. So you could do this many ways. So the way I will do it is step 1, I'm going to change this to a whole number. And then step 2, I am going to be multiplying these. Multiply. And then once I've multiplied them, step 3 is I will divide by the place value. So in this part, step 1, I'm looking at whole number and place values. So at the end, I will divide by the place value, PV. So let's look at what this is. 4.08 times 3.7. I've got 2 place values here and 1 place value. So what I'm doing is I'm multiplying by 100 and I'm multiplying by 10. So altogether, I've multiplied by 1,000. So this now becomes 408 times 37. So I'm going to be multiplying these two numbers. Now I'm going to be using the Gaussian method. You can use whichever method you are comfortable with. We've got 3 numbers there and then 2 numbers there. So I'm going to have 408 and I'm going to have 37. So 3 and 7. We're multiplying them, so just do the diagonals on each one. So 8 times 3, 8, 16, 24. 0 times 3 is 0. 4 times 3 is 12. 8 times 7, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56. 56, yeah. 8 times 7 is 56. For a second, my brain went numb. 0 times 7 is 0. Went blank, rather. 4 times 7, 7, 14, 21, 28. 28, there we are. Okay, and now I add diagonally. So this is 6 by itself. 5 plus 4 is 9. 8 plus 2 is 10. So I'm going to carry the 1, put a 0 there. But 1 plus 2 plus 2. So 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 1 there. So my digits are 1, 5, 0, 9, 6. Okay, so I've done my whole value, multiply the numbers, and now I need to divide by the place value. So I am going to be dividing by 1,000. So I've got 3 place values here that I need to add. 1, 2, 3. Put my place value there. So my final answer is 15.096. So 3 marks banked. Let's do our tally that we normally do. Okay, so question 3 marks. 1, 2, 3. So good start. We need to get to 11 marks. Right, question 2. There we are. Question 2, have a go. Press pause and have a go. And if you need more time, obviously press pause. I'm going to make a start. So question 2, work out 4 divided by 2 and 2/3. Give your answer as a mixed number in its simplest form. So this is dividing fractions. So step 1, we need to change this to an improper fraction. Improper fraction. And then after I've got my improper fraction, to divide fractions, I keep the first one the same. I change the sign operator, and then I flip the last part. So step 2 is keep, change, flip, KCF. And then step 3, after I've done this, step 3 and 4 kind of are interchangeable. I prefer to simplify, and then I change it to a mixed number. Change to mixed number. You can, sometimes people prefer changing it to a mixed number, then going back to simplifying. So 4 stays as it is. Divide by 2 and 2/3. So the denominator we multiply and the numerator we add. So we're going to do 2 times 3 equals 6. 6 plus 2 gives me 8. So this now becomes 8/3. Okay, so now how do I can change the whole number into a fraction just by putting it over 1. So keep, change, flip. So that's my step 2 now. So this stays as it is, 4/1. This changes to multiply. This flips to 3/8. So that's done. So now I'm on to step 3. I want to see if I can simplify. 4 and 1, that stays as it is. 3 and 8 cannot simplify, but I can look diagonally. I can simplify. So what number goes into 4 and 8? 2 goes in, but I can also spot that 4 also goes in. So I'm going to divide by 4. Divide by 4. So this cancels out to 1. This cancels. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So you can see 1/1 is, I can ignore that. 3 divided by 2. And now I'm on to my step 4. I change it to a mixed number. How many times does 2 go into 3? Once, remainder 1/2. So 3 marks there. So let me add that to my, oops, daisy. Sorry about that. Let me add that to my tally. I have now got a few more marks. So I'm now on 3 more marks. So I'm getting closer to my 11 marks. 1, 2, 3 marks. I'm on 6 marks now. And if you are watching this video for the first time, subscribe to our channel. All right, I plan to do a video every day until the exam appears. And if you're watching this live, subscribe to like the video. All right, question 3A. Okay, have a go with that question. I'll give you a few moments. Okay, let's look at question 3A. Write 72 as a product of its prime factors. So we've got prime factors and a product, and give your answer in index form. So product means multiply, and we need to have prime factors, and we need to write it in index form, which usually means we have something like that as powers. So that's what that question means. So how do I work this out? Step 1 is I need to know my primes. my prime numbers. After I do that, step 2 is I draw my factor tree. And then step 3 is I put it into index form. Now you can use other methods. This is the method I'm choosing, so that is possible. So do whichever one you are confident in and comfortable with. Okay, so 72. Step 1, what are my prime numbers? 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm just writing out my numbers. 1 is not a prime number. 2 is a prime number. 3 is a prime number. 4 is a multiple of 2, so cross that out, cross the even numbers out. Multiples of 3 I can cross out. 5 is a prime number, 7 is a prime number, and so on. So in the exam, in case you forget, that's a nice way. 11 is a prime number, 12 isn't, it's a multiple of 2, 13 is, and so on. Okay, so let's look at 72. 72 is even, so I'm going to do 2 times. Half of 70 is 35, half of 2 is 1. Add them together. 35 plus 1 gives me 36. 2 is a prime number, circle it. Half of 30 is 15, half of 6 is 3, so add them together. 2 times 18. Half of, again, it's an even number, so 2 times half of 18 is 9. I can do that in my head. 9 is 3 times 3. 3 is a prime number. Now everything is circled, so I'm circling my primes as I go along, so it's easier for me to write things at the end. So now I need to put it in index form. I've got 2 happening once, twice, 3 times to the power 3 times 3, and there's once, twice squared. 2 cubed times 3 squared. Okay, I've just somehow written this very poorly. 3 squared, there we are, make it really clear. 2 to the power 3, or 2 cubed times 3 squared. So I have banked another 2 marks. Let me add that to my tally. 1, 2 marks. I've got 8. I'm very close to my 11 marks. Let's look at part B now. Part B. Okay, so find the lowest common multiple of 72 and 90. I'll give you a few seconds to try that question. If you need more time, then press pause. And when you're ready, you can just press play. Okay, so let me start this question. Find the lowest common multiple LCM of 72 and 90. So I need my answer from the previous part. 2 cubed times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. I'm just writing that there just so that I have it. Okay, so now I need to do the same as I did previously with 90. So I'm going to put here, or before I do anything, what are my steps? So step 1 is my factor tree for 90. Factor tree for 90. That's my first step. After I've done that, step 2 is I like to use a Venn diagram, so I'm going to put this in a Venn diagram. And step 3 is, if I'm finding the LCM, I am multiplying everything. Multiply everything. Okay, so that is how I'm going to do this. So how do I find 90? Step 1, 90, again, it's an even number, 2 times 45. 45 is 25 times, is it 25 or 15? 5 times 9, 5, if I know my 5 times table, yep, 5 times 9. 5 is a prime number, circle that. 9 is 3 times 3, there we are. Okay, and again, you can do this part differently. It doesn't have to be exactly like mine. Okay, so now I'm going to draw my factor tree. So I've got the previous numbers here. So I'm going to have 72. I'm going to do an oval shape. And then I've got 90 here. Okay, so I've got 2 that goes in 90 and 72. So that goes in the middle. 5 that goes in 90, but not in 72, so that would go here. I've got 3 that goes into 90 and a 3 here, so that can go in the middle. I've got another 3 here and another 3 there, so that can go in the middle. So all of my 90 is done. The numbers left for 72 are 2. Take this off, and then that last 2. So this is my final Venn diagram: 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, and 5. Now that's my Venn diagram done. Step 3 is LCM is multiply everything. So if I think about it, 72 is all of this already. So I've actually worked out, well, my 72 are these numbers. So all I need to do is really multiply 72 by 5, the one that's missing, because that's not included. Right, so I can do long multiplication, but I can spot something else. As it's a non-calculator paper, 72 times 10 is easy to do. That's 720. And then I can just half that. So half of 750 is 350. Then half of 20 is 10. So that gives me 350 plus 10 is 360. So that's a little shortcut to work out my LCM. Okay, so that's my final answer there. And so that is worth another 2 marks. Okay, let's add that to the tally. Okay, 1, 2 marks. So I've got 10 marks there. I'm very close to getting my grade 3. Let's go to the next question. Question 4. All right, question 4. I'll give you a few moments. Try that. Okay, if you need more time, press pause. Let's look at this question. Billy, Nikki, and Katie share some money. Billy and Nikki have £240 in the ratio 3 to 5. The amount of money that Nikki has to the amount of money Katie has is in the ratio 3 to 2. How much money does Katie have? So a lot of information here. So let me take each sentence. Billy, Nikki, Katie share some money. So I can ignore that first sentence. Billy and Nikki have £240 in the ratio 3 to 5. So I've got 240. I've got a ratio of 3 to 5. So that's important information. The amount of money that Nikki has to the amount of money Katie has. Nikki to Katie has a ratio of 3 to 5. How much money does Katie have? So what are my steps? So first step, step 1 is Billy and Nikki have £240 in the ratio. So maybe I need to work out what this ratio is. So how much does Billy and Nikki have? So the amount, so share £240 in the ratio. Share £240 in ratio. Okay, and I like to use the box method. Box method. And then after I've done that, using that information, the next step, step 2, is the amount of money Nikki has to the amount of money Kate has. Use that to find Nikki and Katie's share. Nikki and Katie's share. How much money does Katie have? So let's look at step 1 now. So Billy and Nikki, B to N is 3 to 5. Okay, so I'm just going to draw 3 boxes here to represent Billy. And Nikki has 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Billy and Nikki have £240. So 240 represents all of this. Okay, so that means I've got 3 and 5 parts, or 5 parts, so that's 8 parts altogether. So I'm going to be sharing 240 between 8 parts. That gives me 8 goes into 24, 8, 16, 24, 3 times, add the 0, so that's 30 in each box. 30. How much does Nikki get? So you can see this is 30, 60, 90, and this is 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. So that's my amounts. Okay, so I've done that. The amount of money Nikki has. So Nikki to Katie is 3 to 2. Again, I'm going to use my box method. So 3 boxes for Nikki and 2 boxes for Katie. Now, these boxes are not the same because this is referring to Nikki. The amount of money Nikki has to the amount of money Katie has is in the ratio 3 to 2. So Katie represents 150. So I've already worked that out. So 150, which means each box is going to be, you can see it, but if you can't, 150 divided by 3 gives me 50. So 50 in each box, which means Katie must have 50 in each, which is 100. So Katie has 100 amounts. So a little bit tricky there. So that's another 3 marks for that question. So now I am now on 1, 2, 3. Yeah, hey, I've got a grade 3. So now I'm working towards a grade 4. I need I'm on 13 marks. I need 3 more marks. So let's see what question 5 holds. Question 5 is 2 marks. I'm very close to that, not quite there yet. All right. So here is question 5. And if you haven't clicked like, press that like button. Have a go. I'll give you a few moments. Okay, if you need a bit more time, press pause while you work it out. I'll go through this question. Question 5. There are only pink cubes, grey cubes, and white cubes in a box. The table shows the probability of taking at random a pink cube from the box. So you got pink and you got blanks here. The number of white cubes in the box is 3 times the number of grey cubes. Complete the table. So what are we doing here? How do I solve this? So first of all, I am going to be looking at the unknowns. We got the number of white cubes in the box is 3 times the number of grey cubes. So step 1 for me is unknowns. You may have different ways you solve this, but I'm going to do that. That's my first thing. Step 2 is I know probabilities. Probability. What do probabilities add up to? They add up to 1. So I'm going to be using that fact. And then from that, I'm going to be finding step 3, each probability. Probability. Okay, so let's go through this again. There are only pink cubes, grey cubes, and white cubes. The table shows the probability of taking this. The number of white cubes in the box is 3 times. So one of them is in unknown. So I like to put x both ways. So this is x, this becomes 3x. Or it's the other way around. This is 3x and this is x. Because one is 3, the other. Now I'm just going to put a number in. Let's assume x is 10. That means this is 30. Or the other way around, 10 and 30. Let's see these numbers if they match the wording. The number of white cubes in the box is 3 times the number of grey. So the white is bigger. So white is bigger. So it must be the top one here, not the bottom one. So this is not correct. So this is now correct. 3x and x. So I hope that's clear. So I've kind of worked out my unknowns. Now the next thing is step 2 is probability. All probabilities add up to 1. So 1 take away 0.4 is 0.6. Imagine 10 take away 4 is 6. So like that, 0.6. So now I've got this. So these two probabilities make 0.6. So x plus 3x gives me 0.6. So 3x plus 1x is 4x. equals to 0.6. How did I write 0.4, 0.6? And now I need to divide by 4. X equals to 0.6 divided by 4. Okay, so if I think about this, I can do it a few ways. I can half it and then half it again. So if I do that working out by the side here, 0.6 divided by 2 is 0.3. And then I can half that again. 0.3 divided by 2 is 0.15. So x equals to 0.15. Okay, so that's a way you can do it. You can use other methods. Okay, so that's x is 0.15. That means 3x is going to be times that by 3. So imagine 15 times by 3 is 45. So this is 0.45. Okay, so that, let me just write that out. 0.15 times by 3 equals to 0.45. Okay, so I've got that clear there. So that's another 2 marks I've banked. Let me add that to my tally. 1, 2 marks. I've got 5, 10, 15 marks. I'm 1 mark away from getting a grade 4 based on last year's grade boundaries. Okay, so let's go on to the next question. Now, a few people have joined me. If you enjoy these videos, like the video. I hope you find it useful. I will be doing one every day. Thank you for liking. Here's the next question. All right, question 6a. If you need more time, press pause. But question 6, let me start. So write 0.00209 in standard form. So how do I put this in standard form? Step 1, I'm going to be looking at the place values. Place value. And then step 2, I'll be using that to put it in standard form. Okay, so an ordinary number begins with 2.09. I ignore the zeros. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at. So how many place values do I have here? I've got 1, 2, 3 place values. So that means I'm dividing by 1,000. Okay, so that's 3 place values divided by 1,000. That means I need to put it in standard form. 2.09 times by 10 to the power minus, there's 3 zeros, so minus 3. So that is my answer, 2.09 times 10 to the power 3. So nice and quick question there. Let's go to, let me add that to my mark tally. So now I've got another mark. I'm now on 16 marks. So I'm on a grade 4. Yay. Right, let's go to question 6b, part 6b. I'll give you a few moments to try that question. It's worth another mark. Write 1.302 times 10 to the power 4 as an ordinary number. Okay, similar to before, I am going to be using step 1, my place value. And using my place value, step 2, I am going to be changing this to an ordinary number. Ordinary number. So this is 1.302 times by 10 to the power 4 is 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So that's just multiplying it by 4 place values. So I'm going to put 1302. So 1, 2, 3, 4 place values there. So that's where my decimal point would go. So I add a 0. So my answer is 13020, which is 13,000. 1, 2, 3. Put my comma there. 3 place values. So 13,020. So now I have got another mark. Let me add that. Let's go to question 7. Okay, I'll give you a few moments to try that question.
Mama?
Okay, question 7. We have this diagram. ABCD is a pentagon. ABCD is a pentagon. EDF is a straight line. EDF, so we've got that straight line. Angle CDE is 30 degrees greater than angle BCD. Work out the size of angle X. So angle X is there. So you must show all your working out. So there's quite a lot of information going on here. So what do I need to do for this question? So how do I break this down? So I can see this is to do with angles in shapes, so angles in polygons. So that's my step 1, angles in polygons. So the formula that you might be familiar with is n minus 2 times by 180. That's the formula. So after I get that, I am going to, I've got 2 unknown angles here. I need to find out what these unknown angles are. So step 2 is I've got identify unknown angles. Unknown angles. Okay. So once I can identify them, I can actually work out the individual angle. I can work out this one. So step 3 is using step 2. Using step 1 rather. Find the angles. Okay, and then once I've done that, I can then, this is a straight line. So step 4 is angles on a straight line. So quite a few steps here. So let's take this one at a time. So I can use that formula, step 1, or I can just remember that triangle is 180 degrees. A four-sided shape is 360. So I'm just adding 180 degrees each time. So a 5-sided shape, a pentagon, is going to be adding 180 degrees, which is 460, 470, 480, 490, 540 degrees. So that's a nice way of remembering. If you use the formula here, that would equal to that. So that's that done. So that's my step 1 done. Now I need to identify which is which. So angle CDE is greater than BCD. So I'm going to do what I did similar in one of the previous questions, which is that I am just going to call one of them. I've used X here. X is given, so let's use the letter Y. If this is Y, the other one is 30 degrees greater, so 30 plus Y, and then I swap them both ways, Y plus 30. Okay, so now I'm just going to put a number there. Let me use a simple number like 100. If this is 100, the other one is 130. If this is 100, the other one is 130. So now I'm going to use the numbers to match the wording. And whichever number matches the wording, I can eliminate, keep that one and eliminate the other. So angle CDE, this one is 30 degrees greater than BCD. So this one is bigger than the other one. So this one is bigger. It's the top one. So it's not this one. It's not this one. So that's how I can identify them. So let me write it here, Y plus 30, and this is Y. Okay, so that's that. I've identified which angle I'm using. Now I can, using step 1, find the angles. I can work out what these are. So I can turn this into an equation. So I've got Y plus 30 plus Y, adding all these numbers, plus 71 plus 105 plus 120 equals to 540, which is what I had earlier. So now I can simplify this. Y and Y is 2Y, and add all the numbers there. So 120, 225. Well, let me just do the smaller ones. 30 plus 71. So 30 plus 70 is 100. 100 plus 100 days, 200, plus the other 100 is 300. 325 and a 1, 326 equals to 540. So now I need to remove the 320 first, minus 326 on both sides. So these will cancel. 2y equals, this becomes 30, 10 take away 6 is 4, 3 take away 2 is 1, 3 take away 2, 5 take away 3 is 2. So this is 214. Now I can divide by 2. So y equals to 214 divided by 2. Half of 200 is 100. Half of 14 is 7. So that's 107. So y is 107. So I need to put that in here. 107. And then I need to add another 30 there. So that's 137. And so now I've done my step 3. Now I need using angles in a straight line. So I need to do 180 minus 137, and 180 take away 130 is 50, take away 7 is 43. So my final answer is 43. So there's quite a lot of working out for that question there. 4 marks. 4 marks. 1, 2, 3, 4 marks. So I've got 5, 10, 15, 21 marks. I need 6 marks to get to that grade 5. Our session is becoming quite long, so I know you've got an exam tomorrow, so let's see if we can get those few marks there. This is quite long, tricky or long, but let's go to the next question, because that will save us a bit of time just by looking at a glance on that. So I'm skipping to question 9. Just because I want to try and get to the end sooner rather than later. Another thing I want to show you before I kind of carry on, if you're here for the first time, one of the things that I am doing is creating a playlist on the channel. So if you go to the channel and you click on paper 1, all of the paper 1s that I've covered are here. So as part of your revision, you can go through that playlist. So as you can see, the live one is also taking place there. So yep, let's look at this question, question 9. I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Press pause if you need more time. Right, question 9a. It says t to the power 4 cubed. If we have a power of a power, we multiply. So t to the power 4 times 3 equals t to the power 12. Okay, and if you're not sure why that is the case, why that happens, it's the same thing being multiplied 3 times. And so when we multiply, we add the powers. 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 12. So that is my final answer. Okay, so that's a nice 1 mark. Okay, so 1 more mark there. Let's go to the next question. Okay, it's worth 2 marks. I'll give you a few moments to do that. Okay, if you need more time, press pause. So what are the steps? So step 1, I'm going to multiply everything out. Multiply out. Okay, and I'm going to put the numbers and letters next to each other. Multiply out numbers and letters next to each other. Step 2, I'm going to work on the numbers. Step 3, I'm going to be working on the x's. And then step 4, I'm going to be working on the y's. So let's write this out. 20 times 4 times x to the power 3 times x times y to the power minus 2 times y cubed. So work on the numbers. 20 times 4, 2 times 4 is 8. Add the 0. Now I've got, so that's my number. Now if I look at my x's, x to the power 3 times x by itself is x to the power 1. So 3 plus 1 gives me 4, x to the power 4. Y, now I'm going to write this out, minus 2 plus 3. So I've got my number line 0, minus 2, and I'm adding 3. So I'm going to be on 1. So y to the power 1. So my final answer is 80x to the power 4, y1, or I can also say 80x to the power 4, y. Both of these are correct. So that's another 2 marks. I've banked 1, 2 marks. I'm very close to getting to that grade 5. Let's look at the next question. Okay, part C, 9 part C. Okay, so what topic is this? This topic is indices. So I'm using the rules of indices. So I can, step 1, when I multiply, I add the powers. And step 2 is when I divide, I subtract the powers. Subtract powers. So I've got 5 to the power 3 plus minus 6, then take away minus 5. So I've got to work on my power, my signs here. So 5 to the power 3 plus and a minus makes a minus. 6, 2 negatives make a plus, so that's plus 5. So 5 to the power 3 take away 6 is minus 3, plus 5 is minus 3, 0, then 2, so it's 2 there. 5 squared, and so 5 squared is 25. Okay, 5 times 5 gives me 25. All right, so that's another 2 marks. Let me add that to my tally. 1, 2 marks. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 26. I'm 1 mark away from my grade 5 based on last year's. Yes, I know this is a practice paper. All right, last question. Not last question, the next question rather. I'll give you a second to do that. All right, this is so easy. Okay, so write down the value of 7 to the power 0. Anything to the power 0 is always 1. Okay, so always anything to the power 0 is always 1. So that is my answer. 7 to the power 0 equals 1. All right. I'm just going to look at the comments as you do the last question. Make sure I have answered any questions you may have. Let's keep the comments sensible. I know there are some Arsenal fans here, Spurs fans. All right, so last question while I read the comments. Okay, so last question. Question 9E, it's a higher paper. So those who are joining us now, it's a higher paper. So what are the steps for this? So this is 64 to the power minus 2/3. So there's a few things going on. So I'm going to kind of separate this out. When we have a negative as a power, this is our reciprocal. Reciprocal. So what does a reciprocal mean? For example, if you have 2 over 3, that becomes 3 over 2. Okay, so if you have a whole number like we have, let's say you have 2 turn it into a fraction, becomes 2 over 1. That becomes 1 over 2. So that's the reciprocal. When you have the numerator, we raise it to the power. And the denominator is we look for the root. Okay, so step 1 is the reciprocal. Step 1 is reciprocal. Step 2 is the root, because it's always easier to make something smaller rather than make it big and then smaller. And then step 3 is we do the power. Okay, so 64 becomes 1 over 64 using that example. So this now becomes 1 all over 64 to the power 2 over 3. So the negative has disappeared. The next thing we do is do a root. So this is 3. So this has to be the cube root. So 1 over the cube root of 64. Then I raise it to the power 2. So what number multiplied by itself 3 times gives me 64? Okay, so I put numbers in here. 1 times 1 times 1 is not 64. 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. That doesn't work. 3 times 3 times 3. That doesn't work. 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 is 27. And so the next one is 4. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. So that is my answer. So this becomes 1 over 4 squared. 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. Okay, so we've got 1 over 16. And that is another 2 marks. So if I go back to my tally, if I add 2 more marks, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 28. So I'm on a grade 5 based on last year's grade boundary. So I know this is just practice. I'm going to end it here for today so that you guys can revise for your English and other exams. And I will do more. So tune in tomorrow. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. I hope you've enjoyed these sessions. Please share this with your friends. If you're enjoying it, then please do share it with your friends, and let's keep the comments sensible, some of you. All right, so hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Take care. Assalamu alaikum. Take care. Bye-bye. All the best. And all the best for your exam tomorrow. All the best.